Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul, and we are
SP Film Viewers.
So we're back with our second watch, or what we're going to be watching, for Monster March, this final outing.
I'll be happy when it's the last one.
So you keep saying.
I really like March for every reason apart from Monster March. I like it because the day time's getting longer, you're getting flowers springing up, and it's feeling like better weather-wise, but then I have to watch crap films.
It's not cultured.
Excuse me, I've become very much more cultured.
I'm joking. Yeah, but like I say, remind you again, this will be the last one.
Yay!
Yeah. Not the last one this month, but I mean,
That's a shame, isn't it?
Once March is gone. So this time, as mentioned in the last episode, covering a film that neither of us have seen. It was kind of a bit of a struggle for me, thinking like, what don't I have like on my shelf, particularly, or the things that I'd like proper like route through like Netflix and stuff like that. What things I haven't seen? There must be something I haven't seen that's maybe like deemed something that maybe I should have seen that's a monster thing. There wasn't very many, to be honest.
What does that say then? You're obsessed with monster films. I don't know why you like them so much. I just think they're repetitive. It's like an action film.
Well, I mean, I like Pokemon, so they're monsters. So they're just fascinating. Maybe cinematically, they're not always the greatest, to be fair, but that's to be expected. You got to take them for what they are.
Do you prefer animals to people?
I guess animals rarely judge you.
It's true. It's true.
In fact, obviously they can be nasty to you if you're mean to them, but yeah. Anyway, this time we're watching The Blob from 1958.
Well, the fact that it's old, it could go two or one ways. I could be really interested with like the fact that we enjoyed The Apartment.
Yeah,
that kind of.
Yeah, because that was 1960.
Yeah. So that gives it a benefit, but then if they're trying to do something with a creature or a blob, I don't know how that pulls off. Yeah. If that makes sense, because normally the reason I like the old films is for their acting and the story.
I'm pretty sure this isn't like a guy in a suit or anything that kind of silly. I think there'll be more effects, really.
Okay.
But how well they come across is another matter, of course. I'm not.
So it's going to look like Ditto.
I don't think they'll have a face.
Okay.
I think it would just be a blob.
It's going to be interesting. I don't know. I don't know what the blob looks like or if it can morph into other things.
Yeah, that would be interesting to know.
Like Flubber. I like
Hopefully
Flubber.
It's not like that. There's just... I was thinking about that the other day when we were thinking like obviously a blob and stuff, funnily enough, but I don't remember that film being particularly great.
It had the beloved
Robin Williams.
Yeah. Anything he does is great, like Mrs. Doubtfire.
I guess. But
I loved that film when I was little. We'll have to rewatch it. Can't we put that on instead?
That's not a monster.
But a blob is.
Yeah, because this is terrorising. It's from space and everything. Whilst Flubber is just a cute little thing that bounces around going...
Exactly.
Irritating.
Sounds like me. I do have a cute little thing that goes me. So thanks.
You said it, not me.
You're saying I'm irritating.
Right, we've got the criteria.
Let's have a look at the cover. Well, that's not giving me any clue, is it? It's purple.
I think that's ambiguous, isn't it, really?
It's got a hand, which is creepy. I don't know if that's a hand of a human that is there.
There's somebody...
Oh, okay.
I think it's an it, anyway. I don't know if there's a gender. But it's obviously consuming somebody.
Right.
Indescribable, indestructible, nothing can stop it, apparently. On the cover, and the back says, the blob follows havoc wreaked on a small town by an outer space monster with neither soul nor vertebrae, with Steve McQueen playing a rebel teenager who tries to warn the residents about the jelly-like invader. You're just looking like bemused.
Well, from that, then it makes it sound like everyone's going to die. The blobs are going to take over.
You think there's plural?
Probably. He's not going to be on his own, is he?
I don't know.
Where did the blob come from?
Space.
But how was he created in space?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out when we watch it.
Probably not. He'll just appear on Earth and be like,
Maybe
oh,
like
this is the blob,
Venom.
right?
Like, asteroid comes down and be like, they're like symbiote. Yeah. Perhaps.
Very vague, isn't it?
It's only 82 minutes. So
okay. Thank
it's
God.
quite short. So less than an hour. And a
I
half.
don't know. Maybe it might be really good, but I'm just a bit like,
Yeah. I don't know if it'll be like a, you know, like the old style thing. I don't know if it's going to be like that or not. But I've got a bit higher expectations because it's not like a really old, like the 40s or something like that, where they would do that.
It does look a bit dated though, doesn't it? And they're all in cars. They've got like two
old
of them,
cars, you mean?
3 of them have got cigarettes in their mouths. And the
Oh,
front
right,
cover.
that must mean it's old then.
It must do, yeah, because it's like that doesn't allow it nowadays, does it? It's not like so common that like everybody would be smoking.
Well, yeah, the style of clothes that they've got on and everything, yeah. But as I said, it's from made in 1958, so we shall see.
We shall.
Okay, we'll speak to you shortly.
Hey, who's in the store? Huh?
There's nobody in here but us monsters.
Dave, the theater.
Don't go in, Jim. This won't do any good. It's the most horrible thing I've ever seen in my life.
The filmmakers disclaim any and all responsibility for heart attacks, fainting, or other damage to the nerves as a result of watching The Blob.
Give over. Is that actually what it says?
Yep.
That's ridiculous. We've seen scarier films, I'm sure. Maybe back then.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those things they like to do, where it obviously, I don't even know if back in the day it would have been like a jokey like thing where people were kind of like acting over the top in terms of these films, you know, like dun 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 and stuff. But this film really disappointed in terms of like what it was going for. I kind of expected a bit of schlockiness to it.
What does that mean?
You know, like
Shocky.
schlock, meaning like just like OTT acting or
okay.
like a oh my god, it's the Blob or something, and like
A bit more comical.
Yeah, a bit like less. But this is played like super serious.
Yes.
And
yeah, and it's super boring.
Because of it, yeah, it doesn't do itself any favors with that. I think it's so bland and
Felt like a really big chunk of waste of time. I was like, of my life. I know it wasn't that long, but it felt like it went on forever. And it was like not even that scary of a creature. It never really evolved into anything, or it got bigger, but that was about it. I didn't know if it could like take on a human form or become.
I mean, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest, for 1958, but
I just expected a bit more, and I also with the acting, I thought that would be solid.
yeah, considering the fact that what Apartment we did a couple of weeks ago, that was like going into the 60s, and this was teetering on the edge of that.
Yeah.
And even I've not really seen any Steve McQueen acting roles or anything. I think this is maybe his first outing really in films, but I mean, I know he's kind of seen as kind of like a heartthrob and everything. That's kind of what he's known for, a bit like James Dean or something. But
I don't think of him as a heartthrob.
But he was playing it too straight.
He's like such a good guy, and I know that sounds bad. Like but it was just like over the top good. There was like nothing bad
Yeah.
about him. And not saying everyone's, can't be perfect, but it's like literally that it was like such a perfect character that it was just not realistic.
What is unrealistic also, that he's trying to portray like a teenager and he looks about in his late 20s.
I'm wondering if they're like thinking of teen as like maybe in the early 20s, possibly. That's what they're going for back then.
18, 19, then you're in your 20s then, aren't you, once you pass that point. So
But he looked older than that. And
he does, so...
So did most of the teens, to be fair. But
Exactly.
then I bet you probably think that about Grease Lightning now, if you look back at it. Like,
I was going to bring that up with you, thinking you probably think like, was it Johnny Zuko? Was it?
Zuko, yeah.
Yeah, and that it probably a tad believable, but this is kind of even to today's standards when you see like teens in films and TV series, some of them genuinely do look like so that they could fit the high school years or whatever. But things like in Spider-Man, for example, like Tobey Maguire stuff. Did you think that he was like? I mean, obviously you got like college and stuff, so that's a bit more acceptable.
I don't think he's like the Spider-Man of nowadays, like the newer Spider-Man. He looks like he fits the role better. But I do think like Anna and the Apocalypse.
Well, they're
teen.
Yeah, definitely.
But she wasn't probably fully a teen, was she? She was playing her age. Actually, she was a little bit older than that.
Yeah.
And that still worked really well with the casting.
Whereas this, you kind of think, these aren't believable teenagers, but
but still getting told off by the mum and dad, and it's just like
seems odd.
Yeah. Because really they can be doing whatever they want.
Yeah. And there was a little kid character, and he was so terrible, abysmal.
It's called Danny. I wrote that down because he was really bad. Like, so he was Jane's little brother, even though there was such a big age gap between that.
I know.
It was about like 6 years old.
Yeah, you could sort of articulate a sentence together, but it was just so poor. I know, obviously, kid actors aren't always the best anyway, but this
was over the top, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
It was like, how is this even getting to be a thing? And also, I just kept on banging about the dog the entire time throughout this film. So the old man that has the blob on his...
Defines the blob, initially, and this comet that comes out, this comical... whee sound effect coming like that's I mean, obviously, like, that's the most least serious thing about the film, really, and it's like,
well, like the music when it opens as well is really comical.
I was taken aback by that a little bit, the whimsical opening theme by Burt Bacharach, which, if you know this song, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Yeah, so it's the same. Right, so that's like a jovial song.
Yeah.
So then it kind of
But
like
the subject of this is not jovial, is it? It's so that's
doesn't make
what's
sense.
strange.
Yeah,
and the blob doesn't look that great. And who touches something that they don't know what it is? Like, oh, let's just pick that up. This is what the old man does, and then it clings onto him, like you said, like venom.
Yeah.
Straight away, you thought that's where it was going, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then obviously it's absorbing him.
Yeah.
But then when you said that to me, I was thinking of, because we just recently watched Spider-Man.
The third one, yeah.
I assumed in my head it was going to look like that a little bit. So like
a humanoid blob character, yeah.
Not like, oh, this blob's getting bigger every time he eats a human.
No, I think, as daft as it sounds, that might be a bit too silly. Like, it would just be like a big man covered in jelly, basically.
Yeah, Jello.
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, the idea of the concept of the blob is like just an unknown thing, and it's kind of like a very simple design, and you don't know what to do with it because it's so like rubbery and stuff, and it's like nothing kind of seems to penetrate it and stuff. Like they try and shoot it and things like that. It's not working, obviously, because it's going to just absorb it and stuff, and it's like just a continuous thing that keeps growing and growing. But yeah, like you said, like there's this dog that kind of comes in and out throughout the film, and it's like one minute he's there, and then he's like, "Where's he gone?" And it's like, "Oh no, it's okay. Don't worry about him." So there you're worrying, thinking, "Is the dog okay?"
Yeah, I kept on going, "Where's the dog?" Because Jane was like, "Oh, we can't leave the poor dog on its own inside this, his home. Can't leave it there. It's barking." So then they take the dog and then they put it in the car, and then it's like, then she's got out of the car, and it's like, well, it's a convertible. Where's the dog gone? Then she goes back to the car. There's no dog there, and I'm like, I don't understand. And then like, oh, we found him again. Oh, poor thing. And it's like, well, wouldn't you have actually thought he'd have been better off at home?
Yeah,
You could have gone.
yeah.
You could have gone back for him after you'd figured out all the Blob scenario.
Yeah, but they didn't know what was coming, did they? Really? They just kind of
Yeah,
was
but
assuming.
she didn't. She left him like literally the last time when she got him, picked him up, put him in the car, and then she left him again. So it's like it didn't make sense.
No, I was kind of wondering if the dog was going to like save the day or something, like some like super dog.
They
thing.
kind
It's
of
like-
did, didn't he? Because I don't know if the Blob ran after him or whatever. Because they saw
The
him
dog
down
ran
the
a-
street, didn't
Dog
they?
ran away, so
Yeah. Dog's not stupid.
No.
He's my favourite character.
yeah, for mine as well. It's quite cute, dog.
He is quite cute.
Yeah.
He's like a mutt, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
a bit scruffy.
Yeah.
It's hard, this one is, because I just don't... I don't know if I'm underplaying it because it's a monster film or if it's just... It
No,
was a
but
slog.
even I can attest to that. It just seeming just really bland
Yeah.
and uninteresting set of characters, really. And it's like waiting for it to ramp up in some way, shape, or form. No pun intended, but it just didn't seem that interesting. Because like 1 minute the Blob's like very like below your knees level, and then now suddenly he's like ginormous for eating one person in a projectionist room. It doesn't make sense, really.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I understand if it. Well, I mean, it probably did eat a load of people from the theatre as it starts oozing out, but.
But not from the projection room when he's oozing out. From
yeah,
there, he
it
looks
looked
like...
bigger, yeah. It does, and all these other scenarios, but. Well, it's. I guess what works in its favour the most is probably the fact that, as opposed to being black and white, like some of the old monster films over that time might have been beforehand in the 50s, 40s, whatever.
Mm.
Because of the use of colour that it has, it makes it like stand out as like a like a cherry red
Yes,
kind of
it's
colour,
like blood.
so more appealing in that sense, I guess. That works for in its favour, but
Clinging on out and out of finding something
Yeah.
worthwhile.
Yeah.
Even the policeman or policemen in this as well, they're annoying. So they get to a point where they don't believe the kids.
hmm
It's all this back and forth story, but not a lot of the Blob itself. And
yeah, that's what I mean. Because I mean, you kind of get introduced to it fairly swiftly, but there's a big chunk of the film where nothing really happens. Just I know. I mean, this is kind of textbook for these monster films where it's kind of like you go away from the monsters for a while and then they come back later on in some shape or form, whatever,
Yeah.
like for the action, pacing the film out. But I don't feel like the pacing, despite the short length of the film, didn't really work. It was just uninteresting with these characters, what they were talking about and everything.
the way that they were going about the story and nobody believing them, and it was all kind of just felt not coherent in the storytelling. It was a bit lackluster in just every part. You didn't feel sorry for anybody. You didn't really think anybody needs to be ate by the Blob or anything like
No.
that. It was just like this is happening.
Because there's an instance where Steve McQueen and his girlfriend
Jane.
are coming out from the Dr. Hallen or whatever, who's gonna go see
Mhm.
what's with this meteorite has landed or whatever, and see if somebody out there knows anything about what happened with this old man who's got the Blob on his arm now. And then there's these, like I say, bullies in quotation mark, or these like jocks,
But they're not, though, are they?
it just doesn't make sense because it's like this whole like thing like, oh, here we go, these guys are going to be stirring up some trouble throughout the film and stuff. They do this one thing where let's have a race with your car and everything backwards at the lights.
Mm.
That bit was a bit odd as well, how that transversed as well, because they didn't get in trouble.
No.
Stephen Queen's character, Steve, he's called Steve in this as well.
Yeah, he is.
Simplicity purposes, I don't know, but after that, these other guys in the car are like almost like best buddies with him after the fact. And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
it's all
and they help him
all
and
fine.
trying to-
like, it's not like a why should we help you type of thing. We don't like you or anything like that. It's kind of like they were just joking around at the beginning, and it doesn't make sense.
So
It's
strange. None of it is coherent at all. It's just bizarre. And it's like, why is it even like this? It's just, I don't know. It seems to go on for quite a bit. I think no one believes Steve at all. Even the policemen. It's like that bit where it's like, oh, sometimes you play chess. And he's practicing chess on his own. And it's like, do we need to see this bit where the police don't do anything? And
Yeah, because I thought that was going to come back in some way, like it was integral to the story in some way. But it really, like some things do, like
Well,
because he wasn't playing on his own. He was playing with someone in another precinct or something or whatever. And it's like as which is common. You know, people might do that with Cole and like have the chessboard set up in a way, and it's like bishop to rook or whatever. I'm not a big chess player, so I don't really know.
Well, I feel like that is true. You'd have thought it would come into play. So, like for example, Harry Potter, the first film.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at? They have a chess game, do Ron and Harry,
yeah.
and then it does come into effect where it's a live chess game.
Yeah, playing for the lives or something. But this isn't not like I can use my skills here to beat the monster in some way. Or something like that. But I don't even know how that would even play out in this scenario in my head, to be honest. But
it just felt like something could get cut out. It was just filling time for no reason. Lots of things were just in there just to make the movie go by. And they didn't feel like they needed to be there. It was not thought out.
There was an instance as well with when they're in this like it was like a food store, wasn't it? Something.
Yeah. I was just going to come to this one as well.
Yeah. And there's like a clash bang wallop when Steve and Jane are in there, and it's like, wait, what was that? And Steve's like, oh, it's nothing. Oh, a broom fell over, and then it's like all this, and then suddenly she's like toppling over these cans and stuff because it's like, the blob's there.
And it was so dramatic. It's like she just fell over a couple of cans. Like, just brush yourself off, girl. You're fine. But then he has to pick her up, and it's like,
as if like she's twisted her ankle or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably like what you kind of expect from one of these type of films, like over the top falling over stuff. But I mean, that was the most comical part, I thought, to be honest.
But then I just thought as well with this, yet again, they were looking after the dog, and then the dog was in the supermarket too.
Yeah.
And then they went into the meat freezer section, thinking, we'll hide in here and it won't come. But they never brought the dog with them, did they?
No,
the dog. And it's like, well, why are you looking after it? If you can't look after it, you should have picked it up and brought it with you.
It seemed like one of the bits when they first go in that room, she was like, I'm sure she was probably trying to come across as if she was like scared. But she kind of looked like she was laughing at the situation. Like, oh, thank God we got away from the monster there. Yeah.
Yeah, it just
baffles me, really.
But from that, the monster, the blob, didn't go into the freezer.
Yeah.
So straight away, it doesn't like cold, or you would have thought, well, why is it not entering in?
Yeah.
So you should have thought then they might have been able to be smart enough to have clocked that. But no.
No.
Because, I even actually weirdly said there was a fire extinguisher. Mm-hmm. And I said, once it'd kind of come out, I was like, why aren't they grabbing any ammunition at all?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd grab the fire extinguisher. And you were like, why, what's good's that going to do? Which I thought was hilarious because of how this ends. Because we didn't know, neither of us have seen it. But actually, I think I've just kind of said the ending pretty much by what I said.
It's weak to cold.
Yeah.
So CO2.
It likes warmth, though.
Yeah. Which is probably why it goes after humans, because it's, humans have got warm bodies, so.
And more food.
Fuel. Yeah, energy. What you're kind of trying to figure out from the blob is like, I mean, doesn't seem to be doing out of like malicious as such. It's kind of just you wanting to feed and just grow and move on. It's not like I've got this against humans, they've done me wrong or anything like that. It's kind of just one of those things that's just doing what it does, I suppose.
I feel like it's more like you tell me off, for example, when we get like a kestrel or any kind of bird of prey into the garden. And I'm like, no, it can't eat my sparrows. And you're like, well, that's just like the circle of life. This is kind of what he's doing is the blob. He's not doing it out of malicious intent. It's just he's arrived here and that's what he's spawned to do, kind of thing. Just go around eating people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so obviously now they've actually seen the blob, they've encountered it. They need to make sure the town is aware of this blob thing.
Yeah,
how do you even describe that to somebody? Who's going to even believe you?
I know, it's just kind of what it's like a message of sort of, how teenagers get frustrated with parents or grown-ups who won't listen to them, kind of thing. They think you don't know what you're talking about. They think they've got superiority in terms of like ways of the world and all that kind of stuff. Like, don't be ridiculous. There's such things as monsters type of thing.
Well, there is. Humans can be monsters, to be fair.
I think I wrote down, there was like a bartender when they're going around town like saying like, you've got to believe me kind of thing, and bartender says, like, we have monsters in here all the time, which is true because alcoholism can lead to like violent tendencies and stuff to that. So yeah, so it's kind of like a message come across that relate to the modern world and it's like in our real lives.
Yeah, we all
Nothing
can be
else.
monsters if we put
Yeah.
our minds to it.
Yeah.
Even though alcohol doesn't affect you, you're like a nice drunk.
Yeah, but I mean, some people can be very violent,
Yeah, they can.
aggressive. Yeah,
And I will never know what kind of drunk I am. I'd like to think I'd be a nice one, but maybe I'd be just one of those weepy, cryy ones. Because I do get an over-emotional. It'd either be giggly fits or crying, I think. So you get the air raid going off and peeping at horns, and everyone's like, wait a minute, what is this?
Yeah.
This time of night, why is everyone making a racket? Well, we know about that with our next door neighbour. It's right pain. Getting up and down in the middle of the night. Like setting off at like 1 o'clock in the morning somewhere, and we're like, people are trying to sleep. So we know how the parents feel in this one, where they're getting annoyed because they think it's a prank still, until they realise it's actually real.
Yeah, although there's obviously still some doubts because again, like people are like, oh, what's the big idea here? Kind of stuff is to be expected until they actually see what's occurring. But, you know, to see it to believe it.
But it comes out of the cinema, and then everyone's like, ah! And you get this like weird chasing running out of the cinema, and some people look like they're laughing there. To be honest, like they're running and the mouths are wide open, but it's like they're smiling.
Yeah,
and I think they're thinking it's fun to like be running out of the cinema. It's like you're meant to be looking scared because there's something meant to be coming after you.
Yeah.
So they end up kind of going there, and then they end up in the diner somehow because of the little boy, isn't it? Because Danny thinks, oh, I can shoot it with his BB gun or something.
Pop gun, yeah. As you might think, you're thinking like, oh, it's Die Monster type of thing.
No, I wouldn't think that. I'd be running away. But I guess the little boy maybe be like, oh, I'm going to help.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help. If anything, he causes more problems because they go in the diner.
Yeah.
And that's when they get stuck in the diner.
Absorbed by the blob, yeah.
So they go into the diner. They get told to go down to the cellar. And they're going to cut a power line to kind of
shock it when it doesn't.
If anything, it makes it expand. I think it actually thrives from the heat of it.
Yeah, again, the heat is what it likes more than cold.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is probably more a budgetary thing, but those obviously shots where it's kind of engulfing the diner and everything, they look like matte paintings or something. It's kind of like just like a PNG effect over the top of the.
It looked really bad, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't know because it doesn't come across as. I mean, obviously, I don't know how much it costed for this blob to be a thing. It probably looked fairly cheap.
Yeah,
wouldn't be that expensive. I wouldn't imagine.
Get some Jello.
Exactly, but that bit kind of took it out of it as well because like it just looks like a drawing basically.
It just didn't look real. None of it looked real, so it wasn't scary because it didn't feel realistic enough to be a thing to be afraid of. And it's like, well, you should be able to outrun a blob that's slowly, merging towards you. Mm-hmm. Also, I think it's really strange because at this point the diner's on fire now. They've got the blob immersing it still and thriving from it. And they're in the cellar and Jane's holding a little brother. Mm-hmm. She's like, it's okay, Danny, it's fine, don't worry. And then Steve holds him, and then she's like, you go to sleep now, Danny. Yeah, okay, great environment. Yeah, sure, I'll just fall asleep while it's burning the building I'm in, and there's a blob around it.
Me,
Yeah, I'll just fall asleep. Like, what the hell? Like, go to sleep, Danny, now. Like, what? Like, if I were the actress, I'd have been like, I'm not even going to say that line. You're having your sen on.
I know, yeah. What world are you living in thinking that's going to be? All right, okay, yeah, sleep tight. No.
Yeah. What a child would, but he does. I'm just like, what? What the hell? Who wrote this? Monster March is going downhill. And also, you said this is a critically acclaimed film.
Yeah,
and that they're good.
You
even have the DVD. Why did you have it? Like, you just bought it because people think it's good, and then you're like, oh, we'll watch that.
Yeah, that's pretty much on the nose there.
Is it like a Blu-ray as well?
Well, it's Blu-ray, yeah. And it says, according to the box, it says it's 4K digital restoration, which
Well, that
I
looks
mean,
crap.
I mean, some shots maybe, but
Mm.
I think the apartment looked better in terms of quality.
I do. There's something about black and white
Like-
sometimes that makes it look crisper, but the colour really aged this film for me, actually.
Aside from the blob, it looks a bit shiny and jellified. Then yeah, sure, but everything else kind of just didn't make it stand out or do any favours as such, really. But I don't know if it would work if this was a black and white film.
No,
to be
it
honest.
wouldn't.
But yeah,
It wouldn't work because the blob wouldn't be as threatening.
No.
Really, you wouldn't really see it.
yeah, and obviously when they realise the CO2 extinguishers are the thing to use against it,
And it's so funny that I said, "Oh, I'd get the fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
I'd have killed it by the time we were in the supermarket."
yeah, and they were small enough to kill as well.
Yeah, so
So
I'd have been fine. I'd have got because that's what I said. Why aren't they getting any ammunition?
Mhm.
So there you go. Listen to me all the time. Fire extinguisher. So now we know when a blob ever comes to planet Earth, we all need to use a fire extinguisher.
and that bit is kind of like, I don't even know how this is even working. Like shouting down the phone, get the CO2 thing, and then expecting like as if you could get a response back. It was like this phone that was in off the hook on like sure he shouted, but he's not going to get a response and be like, oh, he'd be able to hear that.
Yeah, knowing that they're getting the CO2.
Yeah, so all the town just start getting them from the school or whatever, and just start spraying it.
Well, this is my problem. So then they take it to like Antarctica or something like that, don't they, where it's cold. And it's like, well, you hadn't defeated it.
Yeah, you've just stalled for time, essentially.
And then I was like, well, maybe they don't know about global warming back then because...
yeah. Because it'd be a problem now, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Ice caps are melting.
So basically this blob could appear now, so they're not really thinking of the long run. Really, I'd have made it smaller and put it in a freezer or something. That'd have been better.
Yeah, but at the size of it, you need a big...
Put it in a big freezer. Don't put it in the Antarctic so the polar bears are going to get out when it gets warmer.
Yeah. But yeah, it kind of ends with like the end, question mark.
Yeah, because it's like, well, yeah, it's going to get warmer, then he's going to expand.
Yeah. Environmentalist message there going on, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if they were thinking about that back when,
No,
but...
maybe.
But yeah, that's the film.
Yes, it is.
Really enjoying Monster March. It's fantastic. Only 3 more to go.
Yeah. Well, I think the other one, certainly one of them will be more
I hope
enjoyable
so.
for you next time. But do I even have a score for this? I haven't even actually thought like what I would.
You said it was worse than Anaconda.
That had something going for it in terms of like enjoyability. Kind of like laugh at how
Bad it was.
kind of thing. So there's always value in those kind of films. Whereas this just didn't have like you could laugh at something like an older 1940s going like early 50s film like with the over the top dramatic music or something and the way they were acting like type of thing, and that's there's comedy value in that, unintentional of course, but that adds something for you to latch onto. Whereas this was just a drag. I'm sad to say. I mean, the concept of the thing, I didn't obviously what I would expect from the Blob, but I expected a bit more dramaticism from it, or not such a quick resolve. Like more focus on it, like it's taken over the town and just I don't know. I didn't expect like a big like shootout or something like trying to military coming in or something blasting at it or something, because it's just to take place in a small town on a relatively small budget considering what it is. But I just didn't really find any real value in it, so I think it's just going to be 3.5.
Okay, wow, that's low.
Yeah,
is that your lowest?
Lowest what score ever?
Yeah.
No.
What?
No,
Is it Mario's?
Two was Super Mario. Yeah.
Okay.
No, there's just I can't see any reason to come back to this. Now I've kind of I've seen it. I don't know what the hype was all about with it, to be honest. I'm all for like exploring like monster films that I've seen. There's been things that are way more entertaining for that, but this just doesn't. For me, it's just nothing. There's nothing to latch onto here. For me, I'm sorry.
No,
Anybody who does like this film, but
don't
yeah.
have to apologise. We're
No.
here for our
Yeah, yeah.
opinions.
Yeah.
I agree with you, really. It's a disappointment start for Monster March, really. I think it's the Blob. You hadn't seen it, I hadn't seen it. We didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. We thought, oh, it's Criterion. Well, you did, so it should be good. It's an older film, so I was thinking, oh, well, maybe the dialogue and everything will be great. I didn't expect the monster to be fantastic.
No. But I was expecting, some like witty dialogue, but there just wasn't.
No. Because normally back then there is, the acting skills are top notch and the dialogue and the story is normally good. And then you kind of lets you down with your side effects, which you forgive because it has everything else. Whereas this, it didn't have any of that. And the Blob was just a blob. I prefer Flubber. I really do. Like, that's a better film. It has more about it than this one does. I wouldn't say to anyone, yep, definitely go watch it. Like, I wouldn't say I recommend it personally. If I could gain that an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was an hour and 20 minutes. So.
I would definitely have it back of my life than actually watching it. I don't think I'd ever watch it again.
No.
It felt like it was so long, and I've watched longer films, and it felt like it was going on forever. It was just dragging, and it was boring. Which I didn't think we could get any worse than Anaconda. I didn't. So
no, I'm taken aback by how just uninteresting this film was.
Yeah, and actually, to be fair, if we weren't doing a review on it, I'd have gone to you, right, can we just stop watching this now? It would have been one of those.
I admit I would have been like, but I kind of, when it came to the end of it, I'm thinking, do you think we've got enough content to be talking about this? Because I've got hardly any notes here.
Yeah, you did, yeah. It was like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I'm scratching my head going through, there's got to be something here, there's got to be something.
Yeah, there isn't anything there.
No.
And that's not our fault.
I mean, normally these things, I mean, looking at the back of the features on the disc, there's nothing on here, which is kind of shocking because normally even like Anaconda had more of a talking with the film directors and like the special effects people. That's I got some of those facts from the previous episode. This has nothing in terms of like
how it's created, what it's
just audio commentaries about what you have while you're watching the film. That's it, pretty much. So that's pretty. I don't know if that tells you something about just how there's no information to be talking about because there's just nothing to say. So
on mine, I was quite harsh with Anaconda. I gave it a 3.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what do I do now? Yeah. Because do I go like 2.5? It's not like a Borat. It's not like completely cringe and horrifying, like in that sense. And it's not a 1 like Super Mario Brothers. Yeah. But it's not better than Anaconda, which I actually thought, looking at it, it would be.
Yeah.
So I think it should be like probably sitting at 2.5 for me.
Okay.
Wasted an hour and a half of my life. And we've got busy schedules lately because I don't know if anyone knows, we're going to be getting married this year. It is actually going to happen. So in like April, it's 6 months away.
Yep.
And then it's going to ramp up and we're going to be busy bees for that. And I need all the time I can get, not watching a film, Paul, that is not enjoyable. I'm kind of wishing March away already. But you're promising me it's going to get better, right? I
mean, it's like... Maybe not hold me to it, but I'm really, 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 really thinking that things are better picks for the upcoming stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Let's hope we can redeem Monster March.
Yeah.
Since it's the last one, we don't want to be giving it such low scores.
Well, it's even low scores for me as well, so.
That's true. So I'm not just suffering on my own, which I'm glad about.
Yeah. Well, for the time being, until next time with Monster March, you can go check out all our other episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Podchaser, Good Pods, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from.
You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter. That's like the main platforms that we're on. And if you want to leave us any nice comments, messages, or anything like that, you can find us under the handle SP_filmviewers.
Yep, so any nice reviews on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, greatly appreciated as well. Obviously 5 stars would be super nice if you really enjoy what we do.
Yeah, it'd be very generous. And it definitely makes our day when we get a nice little review or comment. It, makes it worthwhile. We also have something really exciting coming up, which we can't mention as of yet, but just really, really keep tuned for the next one that we're going to be doing.
Episode, yeah. I won't say any more about it, but I feel like it's quite a big deal for me anyway.
Yeah, it is for you, definitely.
Yeah. So listen out for that. We'll keep you in the loop as things develop, but keep you all intrigued.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.